Ah, you've returned. I take it my last tale pleased you.
What can I get you?
Wine, bread, cheese, oh, and some of those pickled olives you boast about.
Coming right up.
Then let me tell you of a different host, one whose welcome concealed terrible danger, a tale of enchantment, desire, and a goddess whose love was as perilous as her wrath. Between us, I have always had a weakness for stories involving beautiful women, not that they ever shared the sentiment. Now then, let us return to the court of King Alcinous, and hear how Odysseus continued his tale.
Thence we went on to the Aeolian island, where lives Aeolus, son of Hippodas, dear to the immortal gods. It is an island that floats, as it were, upon the sea, iron-bound with a wall that girds it. Now Aeolus has 6 daughters and 6 lusty sons. So he made the sons marry the daughters, and they all live with their dear father and mother, feasting and enjoying every conceivable kind of luxury. Aeolus entertained me for a whole month, asking continually about Troy, the Argive fleet, and the return of the Achaeans. I told him all that had happened, and when I asked him to further me on my way, he gladly agreed. Moreover, he flayed me a prime ox hide to hold the ways of the roaring winds, which he shut up in the hide as in a sack, for Zeus had made him captain over the winds. He bound the mouth of the sack tightly with a silver thread, so that not even a breath could escape. Only the west wind did he leave free to bear us home. But it all came to nothing, for we were lost through our own folly. 9 days and 9 nights we sailed, and on the 10th day our native land showed upon the horizon. We came so near that we could see the stubble fires burning. I, worn out from never leaving the helm, fell into a light sleep. Then my men began whispering among themselves. They believed the sack held gold and silver that Aeolus had secretly given me. They said, "See what treasures he takes home from Troy, while we return with empty hands." Thus they talked, and evil counsels prevailed. They loosed the sack, whereupon the winds flew howling forth. A mighty storm seized the ships and carried us weeping away from our own country. I awoke and scarcely knew whether to cast myself into the sea or endure my fate. I covered my face and lay silent while the raging winds bore us back to the island of Aeolus. When we reached it, we went ashore for water, and after we had eaten, I took a herald and 1 companion to the house of Aeolus. They were amazed to see us again. "Odysseus," they said, "what god has brought you back? We sent you gladly on your voyage. My men and cruel sleep have undone me. My friends, mend this misfortune, for you can if you will." But Aeolus answered, "Begone at once. Him whom heaven hates I will never help. You come here as one abhorred by the gods," and he drove me sorrowing from his house. Thence we sailed sadly on, rowing without wind, until the men were utterly worn out. 6 days and nights we toiled, and on the 7th we reached Telepolis, the city of the Laestrygonians. The harbor lay enclosed beneath high cliffs, with only a narrow entrance between 2 headlands. My captains took their ships within, but I kept my own outside and made it fast to a rock. I climbed a height to look about me, but saw no sign of man or cattle, only smoke rising from the land. So I sent 2 of my company, with an attendant, to discover what manner of people dwelt there. They met the daughter of Antiphates, king of the Laestrygonians, who directed them to her father's house. There they found his wife, a giantess as huge as a mountain. She called for Antiphates, and he immediately seized one of my men and began to devour him. The other 2 fled in terror toward the ships. But Antiphates raised a great cry, and countless Laestrygonians came running from every side. Ogres, not men. They hurled enormous rocks from the cliffs. Ships were crushed together. My men were speared like fishes and carried away to be eaten, while they slaughtered my comrades inside the harbor. I drew my sword, cut the cable of my own ship, and ordered my men to row with all their strength. So they bent to their oars for their very lives, and we escaped into the open sea beyond the reach of the rocks. As for the others, not one of them was left alive. Thence we sailed sadly on, thankful to have escaped death, though grieving for the comrades we had lost, until we came to the island of Aeaea, where Circe, the great and cunning goddess, had her dwelling. We brought our ship into a safe harbor without a word, for some god guided us thither. We landed and lay there for 2 days and 2 nights, worn out in body and mind. On the morning of the 3rd day I took my spear and sword and climbed to a high place to see whether I could discover signs of men. From the summit I saw smoke rising from amid a dense forest of trees. I thought of going straight toward it, but judged it wiser first to return to the ship and send others in my stead. As I drew near the shore, some god took pity upon me and sent a great antlered stag across my path. He was coming down through the forest to drink from the river. I struck him through the back with my spear, and he fell groaning until the life went out of him. I bound his feet together with twisted rushes, slung the mighty beast about my neck, and carried him back, leaning upon my spear. When I threw him before the ship, I spoke cheerfully to each of my men. My friends, we are not yet destined to perish. So long as we have food and drink, we shall not starve. They marveled at the great stag, and after they had admired him, they washed their hands and prepared the feast. Thus all day we ate and drank our fill. When dawn appeared, I called the men together. My friends, we know neither where the sun rises nor where it sets. I climbed as high as I could and saw that we are upon an island with smoke rising from the midst of a great forest. Their hearts sank as they heard me, remembering the Cyclops and the Lestrygonians. They wept bitterly, but there was nothing to be gained by tears. I divided the company into 2 bands. One I placed under Eurylochus, while I myself took command of the other. We cast lots, and the lot fell upon Eurylochus. He set out with 22 men toward the smoke that rose from the forest. They found a great house built of polished stone in a clearing, with wolves and lions wandering all about it. Yet these beasts did not attack them. They wagged their tails, fawned upon them, and rubbed against them like hounds greeting their master. Presently, they heard Circe within, singing most beautifully as she worked at her loom, weaving a web such as only a goddess could make. They called to her, and she came down, opened the shining doors, and invited them inside. All entered except Eurylochus, who suspected treachery. Then Circe seated them upon rich chairs, and mixed them a potion with cheese, honey, meal, and Pramnian wine. Secretly she mingled her enchanted herbs within it. When they had drunk, she struck them with her wand and turned them into swine. Their heads, voices, bristles, and bodies became those of pigs, though their minds remained unchanged. She shut them within her sties and cast them acorns and beech mast, while Eurylochus fled back to the ship. He came to me overcome with grief. Tears filled his eyes, and for a long while he could not speak. At last he told us all that had happened. The others entered the house, but I remained outside, fearing treachery. None of them ever returned. After hearing his story, I buckled on my sword, took my spear, and ordered Eurylochus to lead me back. But he seized my hands and begged me, "Do not force me to go. You will never return alive. Let us save those who still remain." "Stay then," I answered. "Eat and drink beside the ship if you will, but I must go, for necessity compels me." As I passed through the enchanted wood toward Circe's house, Hermes met me, disguised as a beautiful young man in the first bloom of youth. He took my hand and said, "Poor unhappy man, where are you going alone? Your companions are shut up in Circe's stees like wild boars. You will never free them by your own strength. Yet I will protect you. Take this herb called moly, whose virtue will shield you from every spell." He showed me the plant. Its root was black, but its flower was white as milk. The gods call it moly, and though no mortal can pluck it from the earth, the gods can do all things. Hermes said, "Circe will give you an enchanted draught and strike you with her wand. Draw your sword and rush upon her as though you would kill her. She will beg for mercy and invite you to her bed. Refuse her not, but first make her swear by the immortal gods that she will work you no further harm." With these words Hermes departed for Olympus, while I went on toward the house of Circe, my heart filled with anxious thoughts. When I came to the gates of Circe's house, I stood there and called upon the goddess. As soon as she heard me, she came down, opened the door, and bade me enter. So I followed her, though my heart was heavy within me. She seated me upon a richly wrought chair, inlaid with silver, and mixed me a draught in a golden cup, secretly lacing it with her enchantments. When I had drunk and her spell had no power over me, she struck me with her wand and cried, "Go now to the sty and lie with the rest." But I sprang upon her with my sword drawn, as though I would kill her. She shrieked aloud, fell at my knees, and clasped them with both her hands. "Who are you?" she cried. "What man can resist my drugs? You must surely be Odysseus, of whom Hermes long ago foretold that he would come here on his voyage home from Troy." She said, "Sheath your sword, and let us go to bed together, that we may learn to trust one another." But I answered her, "Circe, how can you ask me to trust you, when you have turned my companions into swine? I will not share your bed until you swear by the blessed gods that you intend me no further harm." She swore the oath without delay, and only then did I consent. Her attendants prepared a splendid feast, with golden cups, rich wine, and every comfort worthy of a goddess. They bathed me, anointed me with fragrant oil, clothed me in a fine cloak and tunic, and placed a generous meal before me. Yet I would neither eat nor drink, but sat silent, my thoughts fixed upon my lost companions. Circe came beside me. "Odysseus," she said, "why do you refuse my hospitality? Have I not sworn my oath?" I answered, "No man of honor could feast in this house while his companions remain imprisoned. Restore them to me first." At once Circe took up her wand, opened the doors of the pigsties, and led my companions forth. She touched each of them with another charm. Their bristles fell away, and they became men once more, younger, taller, and fairer than before. They knew me immediately, seized my hands, and wept with joy, until the whole house echoed with their voices. Circe herself was moved with pity. She said, "Go now to your ship, draw it ashore, hide your goods in a cave, and bring the rest of your companions here." I obeyed her and returned to the shore, where the men who remained were weeping bitterly. When they saw me alive, they rejoiced like calves running to their mothers, and gathered gladly around me. I comforted them. "Come," I said, "our comrades are safe. Bring the ship ashore, hide our possessions, and follow me to Circe's house." But Eurylochus sought to hold them back. Must we rush once more toward ruin? She may yet turn us into beasts. He reminded the men of the Cyclops, saying that my boldness had already cost many lives. I was sorely tempted to strike him down where he stood, but my companions restrained me. They begged that Eurylochus remain behind to guard the ship. Yet when we set out inland, fear overcame him, and he followed after us. Meanwhile, Circe had bathed and clothed the rescued men, and when we arrived, we found them feasting happily within her halls. As each man recognized his companion, they embraced one another, weeping for joy until the palace rang with their voices. Then Circe spoke, "Noble Odysseus, son of Laertes, let your men cease their weeping. I know what hardships you have suffered upon the sea and among savage peoples. Remain here and feast until your strength returns. You have been worn in both body and spirit by your long wanderings." Thus she spoke, and we agreed. We remained with Circe for a full year, feasting upon meat and wine in great abundance. But when the year had passed, my companions came to me and said, "My lord, if ever you are to see Ithaca again, it is time to think of home." Their words found favor with me, and when night had fallen, I sought out Circe alone. That night, after the others had gone to rest, I sat beside Circe and clasped her knees. The goddess listened while I spoke. "Circe, keep now the promise you made me. My heart longs for home, and so do the hearts of my companions, who never cease urging me to continue our voyage." Then the goddess answered, "Noble Odysseus, son of Laertes, you shall not remain here against your will. Yet before you may return to Ithaca, another journey awaits you. You must descend to the house of Hades and dread Persephone, and seek the spirit of the blind prophet Tiresias, whose wisdom endures even among the dead." My heart failed within me when I heard her words. I sat upon the bed weeping, wishing no longer to look upon the light of the sun. At last I asked her, "Who shall guide me on so dreadful a voyage? No man has ever sailed his ship to Hades." She answered, "Raise your mast, spread your white sail, and sit still. The north wind itself shall carry your ship across Oceanus. When you reach the shore of Persephone's land, where tall poplars and barren willows grow, beach your ship beside the stream of Oceanus, and go on foot to the house of Hades. There the rivers Pyrphlegethon and Cocytus meet the waters of Acheron beside a great rock. There you must perform the rites I command. Dig a trench and pour offerings to the dead. First honey mixed with milk, then sweet wine, and lastly water, sprinkling white barley over all. Promise the spirits that when you return to Ithaca, you will honor them with sacrifice. Above all, reserve the finest black sheep for Tiresias alone. Then sacrifice a black ram and a black ewe to Hades and Persephone. Draw your sword and let no other spirit drink of the blood until Tiresias has spoken. The prophet will come to you. He alone shall reveal the course of your voyage and tell you how you may yet return to your home. Dawn had broken by the time the goddess finished speaking. She clothed herself in a shining mantle, while I went among my companions throughout the house. I awakened them one by one. Rise, my friends. We must prepare the ship, for Circe has shown us the road that lies before us. Yet even then another sorrow awaited us. A young companion named Elpenor, who had fallen asleep upon the roof after heavy drinking, heard the bustle below. Forgetting the stairway in his haste, he leapt from the roof, broke his neck upon the ground, and his soul descended to the house of Hades. When all the men had gathered, I spoke to them. You believe we now set our course for Ithaca. But first, we must journey to the land of the dead, there to seek the prophet Tiresias as Circe has commanded. At these words the men threw themselves upon the ground. They groaned aloud and tore their hair. Yet grief could not change our fate. We went down to the shore weeping together. There Circe herself had already brought the black ram and the ewe, passing unseen among us. For no mortal sees a god unless the god so wills it.
And so ends tonight's tale. If a goddess tells you the road home first passes through the land of the dead, you would do well to listen. The night grows late, and these old bones demand their rest. But should you return, I shall tell you what awaited Odysseus beyond the realm of the living.